Welcome everybody, welcome back to Homestead Heart. And today I am sitting on the back porch just taking a load off, y'all. I've been out here working the entire day, right? And then I'm running inside, I'm doing my laundry and getting my dinner in the stove and all of that. Then I'm running back out here, continuing what I'm doing. Just some maintenance and some chores here on the farm because these temperatures are so pleasant. And I truly wish we had these temperatures a few days ago. So you all, in today's video, we're going to talk about what did we do when we were without power, those few days that we were without power, when the power company had to come and remove our meter, take the power line off of the house because our house, according to our electrician, was moments away from catching fire. So if you all haven't seen that video, I will post it at the end of this one so you can kind of get caught up on what's been going on here. And I do want to thank everybody for the well wishes and the prayers and the super chats. We are so appreciative for all of you thinking of us and praying for us, and that means a lot to us, and we really, really, really and truly appreciate it. We really do. So now, you all, what did we do? It was a rough couple of days, a rough few days actually, because y'all, we've been without power before. We've been in severe weather and storms where the power probably went out that night, but they had it back on in the morning. We have not in Louisiana or here in Georgia or even in Colorado have we ever been in a situation where we were without power for weeks and weeks at a time. Now, Mr. H has, a long time ago, when he was got caught in a hurricane, he was without any, where they were working at for the company that he worked for at that time. You all, there was nothing for like weeks, nothing, and they had to work through that without any power the best way they could, right? So why was it so different this time? Why was it so hard and unbearable this time? Well, for me, it was the heat. You all, being from the South, we're used to heat. We kind of get used to heat, and you get used to the humidity. It might be uncomfortable, but you just get used to living with it in the South, right? But the heat this year has been unlike anything we've ever, unlike anything we've ever experienced. She gonna make me get up. Unlike anything we've ever experienced, you all, this heat this year was just the worst. It was just the worst. And we were literally about 5 days away from the cool down. And we were so looking forward to that. And this happened days before the cool down. Now, you all, some of you said, well, you should reach out to Lead Farmer 73. He could give you the hookup. Or reach out to Lead Farmer 73. He got those power banks, And you all, to tell you the truth, Lead Farmer and Lady Lead were well aware of our situation, right? They knew what was going on. They knew, right? They're good friends of ours, you all. So they knew about everything that was going on with us, right? Now, I'll tell you this also, is that even during that time, when they found out, they were ready to get on the road that moment. They were ready to get on the road that moment and come from South Carolina to Georgia to see about their brother and sister. And he was going to have his generator in tow. His Honda generator. We don't own a gas generator yet. Woo. This experience has said you better get one. You know, but they were ready to come in and help us. Just at Kitty, with you so mean. We had this conversation yesterday. Girl, you need to stop. She the mean auntie, y'all. But they were ready to come and help us, right? And you know, we told them about that we did something that we knew better, right? And not only did we know better, God warned us ahead of time. I want to say a couple of weeks before all of that happened, I literally woke up in the middle of the night. And my first thought, you need to charge those generators. Like, I need to charge the generators. I sure do need to charge the generators, but I can't go back to sleep now, and I don't want to wake up Mr. H, so I'm going to go in the front of the house and just not do too much because I don't want him to wake up because he has to go to work. So I'm literally up at 3 a.m. and the first thing on my mind was you need to charge generators. And later that day, I think probably that evening, I told Mr. H, I said, you know what, we need to charge the generators. He said, yeah, we sure do. One of my honeybees is sitting right here, just flying around. But that we need to charge the generator. He said, we sure do. We sure do. And we both forgot. Actually, we have 3 power banks. We have 2 Blue Eddies. And we have 1 Opus generator as well. Right? So we have 2 of them. Okay? Everything okay? Okay. So, you all, what was the big concern for us? Who know what they doing? But, you all, my grandchildren are here. That was the biggest concern. It's hot. It was hot as all get out hot. And my biggest concern was my grandchildren being in that house. Believe it or not, it was hotter in the house than it was outside, and it was hot out here. It was just ridiculously hot. And we've never had heat like this before, right? We're used to some hot temperatures, but heat like this was very different, right? I thought you know, at the end of the season when you're growing your crops, you know, our crops usually hang on for a little while, right? But with this heat, I don't care how much we were watering them, they could not take it. They could not take it. A lot of them died. They couldn't take it. They could not take it. So, you all, we were more concerned about the grandchildren, and I was more concerned about the grandchildren and Mr. H because I knew that he had to, you know, hopefully get some sleep so he could prepare for that 12-hour shift he had coming up, right? So I was very concerned, but we had 3 power banks, and the biggest mistake, they were not charged. The Opus, however, had 60% or 61, something like that, or 60 something percent is what the Opus had. So it was like, okay. All right. One of our Blue Eddies had nothing, and it was 0% on that. That should never happen, but that's what, hey, that's what we did. The other Blue Eddy had 30-something%. So we decided that we would put the Blue Eddies in the vehicles. We have those charger ports in the front and in the back seat of our vehicle. So we were going to put one in the front and one in the back, and Led say, oh, that's going to take forever. He said, that's going to take forever. He said, that don't charge fast enough for y'all. That's not going to charge fast enough. That's going to literally take forever. And he was like, sis, I could just get on the road and bring you this generator, right? I mean, they were literally willing to just be here. I could just get on the road, you know, and we'll be there in no time, and we'll get this generator to you. Y'all can't be there without power. So we said, no, we don't want y'all to come this far for that generator. Our electrician had been here, and he had told us that, you know, he was going to come out in a couple of days. But he came back that evening to look at the panel box again to make sure that he was going to get everything that he needed, right? So that first day and night, no power. That second day, all day, no power. And Led and Lady Led, they reached out again and say, look, if you need us to come, we'll come. If they don't show up to fix your power, we coming, you know. Like they said they was coming. You know, so you all, that next, let me see, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, that next day, because he had even said that, our electrician had even said that he was going to push back an appointment. He couldn't do it that following morning, but he could push back an appointment the next day. So the truth be told, y'all, we really just suffered it out, right? We really just suffered it out. But he came back to make sure that when he came, he had everything that he needed, because our box was so old. He was like, I got to do some work with this. He said they haven't made this box since the 80s. Like, wow. Since the 80s, like the early 80s, probably late 70s, that box, right? But he said they stopped making them in the early 80s. They stopped making them. So it was probably on this house in the 70s, all the way up until now. Wow. So when he did come out to fix our panel box, y'all, he worked on it for so many hours. What did we do for lights? Now, we did charge that Blue Eddy that we put in the truck. We put the Blue Eddy in the truck. Both of them. No, I'm wrong. Let me back up. The Opus was at 60-something%. It was getting late and it was hot. So I said, okay, I'm going to plug this little fan. I had a little wind machine fan from Walmart. I'm going to plug that in and just see what we can do. This Opus is at 60-something%. We'll plug it in and see what it says. So now the way that it works, you all, when you plug anything into a power bank, based upon how many watts it's using, that's going to kind of give you an idea of how long it's going to last. With this fan, however, it would also depend on the speed of the fan that you put it on, whether you put it on low, medium, or high, right? So when we turned the power bank on, I think it said we had over 36 hours. It was somewhere around 36 hours, right? To us, that was good news because we were charging the Blue Eddy anyway. We were charging the first Blue Eddy, the one that didn't have anything on it. We were charging it, right? Because the other Blue Eddy it didn't have very much on it. I think it had like 37% or something like that. But we put the one that didn't have any juice on the charger in the front of the vehicle into the little, I call it the cigarette lighter port, to charge it. Now, Lead Farmer told us that's going to take forever. That's going to take forever. That is not going to charge fast enough. We ain't had no choice. So we put it on there to see. And from that evening, I want to say about 5:30 or so that evening till about 8 o'clock the next morning, that thing was at 60%. 14 hours and it was only at 60%. Okay. Whew. So we learned a valuable lesson right there, that is not a way to depend on charging your power banks at all. Yeah, it probably sound good that you have that kind of charger, probably sound great, but that is not realistic. That is not going to be of service to you. If you really need it, that's no good, right? No good. Okay? So the other power bank that had over 30-something% on it, well, let me go back to the Opus. When we plugged it in, we had over 35 or, no, I'm sorry, we had 60-something% on there with over 35 hours available. I plugged the fan in. The fan on high, I think we had like 6 hours or 7 hours of use. On low, we had 18, something like, no, 20-something hours on low. On medium, we had roughly 9 hours, okay? Well, it was late. We was like, okay, that's not much. But if we plug it in right before it's time to go to sleep, then it'll probably last us until the wee hours of the morning, and then we could just check the other Blue Eddy when it shuts off, right? Y'all, we plugged that fan in, put it on medium. There was no sense in putting it on low because it was just like not having it on at all, right? Okay, bud. It was just like not having it on at all. You couldn't even feel it, so what was the use in, why do they even have that speed on there if you can't feel it? It's just like it's not even on. So we put it on medium. I kid you not. We should have had 9 hours of usage according to the display on the Opus. It tells you. According to the display, we should have had 9 hours. Y'all, we plugged that fan in, and I'm going to tell you, it did make a big difference, though. We had the doors open and everything, and it was getting late, right? It was even dark outside, so we still had the doors open, and we had it going on medium, and that little wind, oh, it was feeling so much better. It was feeling so much better. In 2 hours, that thing shut off. In 2 hours. So I'm like, okay, either I'm misunderstanding this or this thing is not accurate. So I was like, I can't believe this. In 2 hours. Of course that other Blue Eddy was not ready. And then we had a Blue Eddy that was on 30-something%. So look, to make a long story short, it was a miserable few nights. That Blue Eddy that we had charging in the truck, that was at 0%. That thing, no, the one that was at 30 something percent. We had that thing charging. And it charged from 5:30, 6 o'clock that evening till after 8 o'clock the next morning, and it was only at 60%. And I'm saying, wow. He said this thing ain't gonna charge this. He said that is not gonna work. That is not gonna work. And we're talking all night long, 14 hours. And it had only charged up an additional 30% in 14 hours. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work, right? So forget that whole cigarette lighter thingamajiggy. That was no good for us, right? So we've learned some very valuable lessons, right? What did we do for lights? We had lanterns. Some were battery powered. We have kerosene lanterns, but remember I said it was already burning hot. So you know I'm not gonna light a kerosene lantern in the house with that additional heat. There was no way. There was no way that we were gonna light a fire for light. We were just not gonna do that. So what we ended up doing was we had some battery powered lanterns that shined at different levels of brightness. We even have lanterns that are 9-hour lanterns with these little candles, and I think we demonstrated that on Mr. H's channel, Survival Mode, where we talked about different lighting solutions. We had that. But the reality is that when you're in a house and it is burning hot, the last thing you want is fire going, right? So the battery powered lanterns were absolutely awesome. Mr. H also had some solar powered lights that we keep outside, and he brought those in, and those helped, and he, put those strategically. So if somebody had to get up and go to the bathroom, if you walked a certain way, the light was going to automatically come on, so you were not going to be in the dark. If you went in the bathroom, the light was going to automatically come on, so we were not going to be in the dark. So Mr. H had multiple options for us to make sure that we had light when we needed. So that was absolutely amazing. We still had water and all of that. Now, our stove, I could still cook on our stove, but who wants to turn fire on as hot as it was? And if I had the Blue Eddy charged, I literally could have brought the Blue Eddy outside. I could have cooked with, not brought it outside, but I literally could have taken it in my kitchen and just plugged in my little electric skillet or whatever, or my little air fryer, and I could have cooked something for real quick, maybe 5-10 minutes, right? If you all remember, we did a demonstration with that Blue Eddy a while ago. We didn't plug in anything like fans or anything like that. We plugged in a coffee pot, a lamp, and my electric skillet. Yeah. And so we demonstrated how that Blue Eddy worked with that. And so for that, we were very well pleased. But I'm going to tell you right now, we need solar panels for that Blue Eddy. We really do. We're Mowgli. So we're going to research, the best panels, and then I'm sure Lady Led and Led Farmer will probably let us know what they suggest as far as which panels to get. And we want some panels that we know is going to work, so we really want to do some research on that, so that in the future, that is something that we definitely need to have in order to be able to use those power banks. And if you're using one, because Blue Eddy sent us 2 of them, right? So if you're using one, you can make sure another one stays charged, and when you have to use the other one, then you could charge up the other one. And I think I heard Led Farmer say in one of his past videos about never letting it go below 50% in he never lets his power banks go below 50%. I think I heard him say that. But, you know, that way when we get to 50%, it doesn't have to take so long to charge that power bank fully before we have to switch it out again, right? But also having a gas generator. Having a gas generator is awesome. I think someone recommended something else too in the past video where they were saying that, I can't think of what they called it, but they said that it would charge our refrigerator so we wouldn't lose our food and all of that, you know. And I'm like, that's very interesting. So I don't know if you said that in that previous video, please post that comment in this video as well, because I want to know, and I'm sure others would like to know as well. And what happened to our food? We never opened our freezer. Never opened it. What did we eat? Oh my goodness. So the first day, I was going to open up some food from my canning supplies, right? But we had no power on the power bank. And I was going to put it on the gas stove, but I'm like, this thing is really going to heat up everything. So what Mr. H did, he was so kind. Mr. H went by, what was that? Come on, Chipotle. Mr. H went by Chipotle and got us some of those bowls with the brown rice and the black beans and tomatoes and all of that. So he went and picked that up for us the first night, because he said, you've been through a lot today. I just want you to relax. Don't worry about food. I'm going to pick this up and bring it home, right? So that's what Mr. H did the first night. The second night, I went ahead and just prepared what I had in my pantry, right? So that worked out just fine. Now, the third day, I was going to have to do the same thing. We were preparing for it to be another rough day, you know. But because once our electrician finished, he didn't finish till late in the evening. And by the time we got the power company back out here, it was after 10:30, almost 11 o'clock. But they came after they left some emergency. They came and, don't get them, bud. Don't get them. That's right. Don't nobody walk up on us. Don't get them, bud. That's right, bud. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. So, you all, we didn't open our freezers. We kept those freezers closed. Yes, we did. My little deep freezer that I have and my refrigerator freezer, we did not open those doors. Period. And that was understood. Don't open these doors, right? So after those few days, our freezers were just fine. Y'all okay? Oh, okay.
You interrupted Grandma's video.
She is interrupting my video, ain't she? For me to see this. Wow. Okay, back to my regularly scheduled program. Mila, have you read your book yet? Okay, you're gonna make me come in there. Get that book. Okay,
I'm gonna read now.
right now. Okay, so you all, so they came out and they got us taken care of, but oh my goodness. I told Mr. H, you know we know better than this, don't you? He said, we sure do, and we can never let this happen again. So needless to say, when our power got back on, first thing we did was plug in our power banks. That was the first thing we did, was plug in our power banks. You know, and We have not started pricing the solar panels yet because we're not prepared to buy them right now, but we are going to start like looking at the options so that when the time comes for us to get the solar panels, we'll know exactly what we're going to get, what it's going to cost us to get them, and all of that. And somebody even said maybe you should get solar for your house. Yes, we've been thinking about that too. And then the concerns about whether it was a smart meter on our house. Initially, no, it was not a smart meter. It was an old meter. It was not a smart meter. And the meter that we have on here now is not a smart meter. It's just a regular meter, you know. So I know some of you were saying that the power companies were putting smart meters on people's homes, and it was causing fires in these people's homes. But the power companies were denying it and taking the blame off of them, putting it on the homeowner. And I'm like, wow, there's no such thing as a coincidence, right? No such thing as a coincidence. So if this has happened to all of these people with smart meters, then the problem is the power company. But I guess at some point you just have to find someone, and attorneys and judges and all of that, that's willing to look deeper into that and have it investigated and all of that, to determine if indeed the power company is to blame. Because of course, you know, from my understanding and when I started looking into it, it was very sad how they were doing everything humanly possible, kind of like the insurance company, to not take responsibility for damages done to people's homes, right? So you all, we've learned some lessons here. We really have learned lessons, but it showed us, like, man, just how vulnerable you can really be if you are not prepared for any situation like that, right? And again, like being more concerned about my grandchildren for any more than anything, that to me was my biggest concern. It was just so hot. It was so hot, you know. And the animals, of course, were fine. They still had their water and all of that, so they were fine. And we still had water. You know, we have our Berkey water filter, and our water is not connected to this box from our well, so we were just fine with our water, not hot water, because our hot water, rather, you know, hot water is, the power to that is still connected to this power, but we had plenty of hot water in the tank, right? So everybody that had to take a shower, look, I know you like these 15-20 minute showers, right? But not today. All right, you got to get in and you got to get out. Okay, you can't be in there forever this time. I need you to get in and get out, because everybody gonna want some hot water, right? Except me. Well, not necessarily hot water, but you know, the water coming out of our pipes is like ice cold. So I don't think the children would have liked that. I was perfectly fine, but I don't think the children would have liked that. So we wanted to make sure that we could have just a little bit of water coming out that was hot enough to make the water coming out completely together, hot and cold, just nice and pleasant. Cool, but not freezing cold, right? So that's what we did. It was very uncomfortable, but that's what we did. Man, our electrician is phenomenal. They don't even service our area, to tell you the truth. They don't even come this far. I think we're their only customer in this area. We're their only customer, because we had a major problem some time ago and we couldn't find anybody. And when I talked to the owner and I told him, we just can't find nobody, he said, no, we're gonna send somebody. And they came out, and that's been a couple of years ago, I think. And they've been coming out here ever since when we need something. We don't have to call them often, but when we do call them, they're more than happy to come out here and help us. And like I said, we're their only customer in this area, but they come and make sure that we're good, right? So we really appreciate our electricians so much, you all. But I think I think I've gone over everything. You know, I want to know, what are your suggestions? What are some of the supplies that you have in the event of a power outage? What would you do if it was too hot to turn on any kind of stove to cook anything, to turn on any kind of lanterns that uses, kerosene or something like that, and you need it to last? What would you do? See, I always say you get what you pay for, right? So for us, like, I never like buying little cheap lights. Like you could probably go to, what is that store? One of the grocery stores where they be selling all kind of little stuff. Like, no, I don't want nothing from there. I want to get something that's going to be quality, because if it's urgent and an emergency, you don't need something that you got to, come on. Are you going to work? Come on. Turn on. You don't want to be doing all of that. You want something that's going to do what it's supposed to do during the time that you need it the most. And some of you who have been prepping and doing things like this for years and years, what do you have? What do you do? We have our power banks, but like I said, you saw how we were slipping on that. That'll never happen again by God's permission. Never, right? And then, the lanterns, that was really good. The light part, we had that, right? Mr. H had so many options for lighting for us that we didn't have to turn on any type of fire in order to have lights, even though the fire was there, even though we had it, right? We have matches and lighters and things of that nature for, we had to light something on the inside, we have that. But that power, even if it's just for small comforts, like a fan, The most important thing to me when the power went off was the fan, to keep air circulating so that them babies wouldn't be burning up in that house, just sweating and going on. We did not want that. So that was the biggest thing for me, because it's just been so hot. It's been so hot, I haven't even planted my brassicas in the ground because I was truly afraid that they were going to burn up. These birds literally came, they trying to fight each other, but they in a very dangerous position because I got cats all right here. They in a bad spot, and all of the cats are looking right at them like, oh, you sure you want to do this? Right here? And there he goes up the tree. Like, you sure you want to do this right here? So yeah, the fan was the most important thing to me in that moment. Being able to power a fan, which takes me back to that Ryobi. I can't think of the name of that Ryobi fan, but it's the biggest one that they have that runs from the batteries, right? And we have Ryobi tools. The majority of our tools are Ryobi, and they're battery powered, and we have plenty of batteries, and those are always charged up because we always using our tools. So those batteries are pretty much charged up all the time. And they have different amps, 3, 4, 6, 9 amp batteries, and we have several of each one, because every time we buy a tool, we never buy a tool that don't come with the battery. The battery by itself is probably, you spend probably $100 on that thing, if not more, depending on how many amps you get, right? So if you buy it with the tool, you're probably not paying but 30 bucks for that battery, right? That's it. 30, 40 bucks with that battery, because when we price the tool without the battery, it's like, shucks, it's more expensive to buy the tool and then buy the battery. So you just buy them together, right? So we have batteries that we could have easily just kept swapping them out if we needed to. Yeah. If our Blue Eddies were charged, then we just could have kept charging our batteries, right? If our Blue Eddies were charged, that could have worked too. Or if we had the solar panels, that would have worked as well. If we would have had the generator, that would have been awesome as well. You know, I don't know if that Honda generator would have powered our refrigerator or not, but yeah. And somebody even said get a Generac generator. Man, so many different options out there, right? So we just know we got to do better. We know just depending on our power banks is not going to cut it. We got to cover all bases. I'm not worried about cooking. Y'all, I'm not really even worried about that, because I could do that indoors or outdoors. I'm not even worried about that. The cooking part, I'm not even worried about that. I got that, right? But when it's hot, you need something inside. If you had to stay inside, let's just say that it was extremely hot and humid outside and you had no power, but it was storming outside, so you couldn't come outside and do nothing with a power bank. It was cloudy, pouring down rain, severe weather, thunder, lightning. What you gonna do? You need something to be able to circulate the air in the house if it's gonna be extremely hot. Hey, Mrs. Puff, you're not gonna jump over here, are you? Thank you. So you need something to circulate the air, especially if you have little ones, because you don't want them to be just like extremely uncomfortable to the point where they can't even sleep. Y'all know these temperatures we've been having. A lot of you were under that heat dome as well. You have to think about, like, if you were under that heat dome with no AC, no power bank. Some people would have said, well, I'll just go to a hotel. But what if all the rooms were full? No, ma'am. What if all the rooms were full? For miles and miles and miles. What in the world would we do? And I know many of you have that answer, so please post it in the comment section below. We would like to know, and I'm sure some other inquiring minds would like to know as well. So y'all, that's gonna do it for this video. This video is already way too long, but I wanted to talk to you all about it. And hey, Mrs. Puff, you so cute. Wanted to talk to you all about it and just kind of explain what we did and how we got caught slipping. Ooh, that was a tough lesson. But boy, I tell you, it was a real blessing at the same time, right? So yeah, we thank each and every one of you. We really do, for all of your thoughts and all of your prayers and well wishes, and again the super chats, and just all of it, you know. And Lady Led for being willing to jump on the highway, right? But we would do the same thing for them. Yes, we sure would. Woo. Look, we would do the same for them. Yes, we would, right? So y'all, that's gonna do it for this video. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and give our video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos we upload to our channel. Thank you all again for watching Homestead Heart. Remember to post in the comment section below the supplies that you have and would use, girl, your claws, you would use if you were in a situation similar to this or worse. We want to know. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you, and we will see y'all in the next video. Ooh, Mrs. Puff, them claws, girl. You just needs. Okay, you just need all my attention, don't you? Nobody else can have it but you. All right, little lady. You can sit here for a second.